Parliamentary Service has refused to give permission for an investigation into the National Party leak to trawl through staffers' communications for the several months before the actual leak happened. Now, PwC is conducting the investigation to find who leaked details of Leader Simon Bridges' travel expenses to the media back in August. The terms of reference that were not made public at the time specified a forensic examination of any relevant databases or equipment used by MPs and staff working for them. MPs had to sign a waiver, you'll remember, allowing their communications to be examined back to February. An email sent to staff by Parliamentary Service on September the 25th detailed what would happen and offered support during an unsettling time, as they said. The Deputy Leader Paula Bennett told our political editor Jane Patterson there was always the possibility staff both working in Parliament and in other offices could be covered.
And so as a consequence of that, we've got Parliamentary Services as the employer. They're responsible for the terms of reference for parliamentary staff. They're responsible for communications with them, and we work with those that are MPs and are responsible for those ones. So it's quite clear it's obviously looking for any traces of that original email that might have been printed, forwarded, and also regards to a phone number that was used in regards to the text.
So this would include staff inside Parliament but also in electorate offices?
It could do, particularly if they've had any access to an MP's email or they've had access to the document.
But that would be quite usual, wouldn't it, that staff outside and support offices would have access to MP's emails?
It's not unusual. I wouldn't say that all of them do, but yeah, it's not unusual for staff to be able to be monitoring emails so that we can be getting back to people promptly and looking after constituents.
So would that be determined by the inquiry in terms of exactly which staff would be included?
Yeah, I suppose they've gone purposely quite broad. Actually, the terms of reference for staff are it's a shorter time frame than it is for MPs, so actually it's a bit more restricted, which I think is appropriate. And in the context of that, they would just be going through, collecting all of the data and then just looking for the document as to whether or not it's been forwarded or what's happened there.
So MPs were going back to February. What's the date that staff will go back to?
I believe it's the 1st of August.
Why the discrepancy or difference in the time frame for staff versus MPs?
Yeah, Parliamentary Services presented a strong argument in it being a bit more restricted as far as the staff were concerned. We'd already done the MPs one and we're interested in looking at sort of algorithms and language and going back a bit further from PwC's perspective. So we just respected Parliamentary Services as the employer.
So they basically said that staff should only be covered for the period basically around the time of the leak rather than any time before that?
Yes, that's correct.
Did they feel that it was an imposition on the privacy of those staff to go back further?
I'm not sure what their exact reasons were for it. I will say that it's a lot of information, and so restricting that time means that we're able to hopefully get through it a bit quicker, but we've only just received the data in regards to staff, and that's why the inquiry is also taking a bit longer.
So is that complete now in terms of the data from all of the staff that would be required for this inquiry?
I believe that they do have just about all of the data that they need at this stage, and so they can run the rest of it and hopefully get a report to us soon. Have
staff been at all concerned by the process? The email does offer support to staff who might feel a bit unsettled. They describe it as an unsettling time. What's the response been to becoming included in this inquiry?
Certainly I've heard nothing from staff, and in fact my own out-of-Parliament staff only contacted me this morning to say they had received an email a couple of weeks ago and hadn't thought anything further of it. And so I certainly hadn't expressed anything there. I know that our Chief of Staff works closely with our staff in Parliament, but I must say I haven't heard concerns from them. At the end of the day, we're all pretty busy and getting on with the job at hand.
That's Nationals Deputy Leader Paula Bennett speaking to our political editor Jane Patterson. Parliamentary Service is making no comment.